It's another 4th of July down. The Chiefs are that much closer to training camp. I'm pretty excited about it, but they still have things that they have to figure out. We're going to take a look at how this is going to ramp up when training camp opens coming up tonight on RGR Football. Welcome back, friends and neighbors. Hope you enjoyed your 4th of July weekend. I know I did, and I'm sure Dan did. This is Dan Harms, my partner in crime here on RGR Football. If you don't know us, it's going to get sticky. Sorry. There's going to be things you like. There's going to be things you don't like, and that's going to be okay. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to everybody out there serving not just here at home, but out around the world. I know this is a tough one for a lot of folks, so I hope that we can help you get through a little bit more. Thank you for doing what you do for us. And happy Independence Day for all of us. And for Brit Chief, if you happen to be watching, yes, the colonists, we're still angry. It's okay. So, Dan, how's your weekend been?
It was okay, just a lot. I did lots of cooking this weekend. You guys follow me on Twitter, know I'm posting pictures like every single day. So it's been lots of cooking and lots of fun.
Good for you. I took it really easy. I barely cooked because we've been packing everything.
Yeah, well.
So it's been a lot of work. My kids are wore out. Someone's snoring in the next room, and I think it's the littlest girl. So, hey, it's going to be all right. So, in fact, this feeds right into it because I think everyone wants to know what your 4th of July meal was.
Well, I made Baja fish tacos. I did my own beer battered cod myself, everything. Made a slaw, a little Baja sauce. Yeah, it was nice. It was delicious.
You're going to have to explain to me what Baja sauce is because now I'm hungry. We ate early today because we had some things to do here. We had to get the camper all set it up in its new storage place and all that kind of stuff. So I just did basics, potato salad, brats,
there you go.
Some grilled chicken. Super
easy. Exactly what it should be.
Yeah, right? Nothing too major. So you guys let us know what you have. Put it down there in the chat because I'd like to know. I need inspiration because next year I have to do it up. My kids are like, Dad, we didn't blow off anything. We didn't do anything. Why do we have to do this? So next year I have to make up for it is basically what I have to do. Now, I know it's a holiday weekend, but this is a Monday, folks. So we're going to answer your questions. We're going to probably not go super long tonight because I know a lot of folks aren't home yet and that kind of thing. So if you do have questions, throw them out there. We'll definitely answer every single Super Chat. If you want to leave them, you can grab some gear and support us that way. There's a new thing on YouTube as well. If you're watching this later, you can do a thanks. That's always a way to support the channel as well. So yeah, everything helps, and we try to keep on cooking because now I just got to get moved, and then we can start talking about camp. And I know there's a lot of questions about camp. In fact, well done, everyone. Everyone responded with questions just now, so that's awesome. So Steve, thank you. Omar Bayless, what are his strong points or what are his chances of making the practice squad? The thing that I know about him most is he tracks the ball in the air really well. I don't know if he adjusts to it so well in the air, but if it's on track, he can understand where it is and he's able to pick it out of the air. So I think that's a big skill to have.
That's one of the only things that I can remember from his tape. It wasn't a whole lot that I got to watch anyway. This is his second year out of Arkansas State. He had one of those come out of nowhere blow up years in Arkansas State, over 1,600 yards his final senior year, and that's really all I can remember. So when you're in those type of offenses that they throw it down the field a lot, you're trying to get those 17 touchdowns. So there's a lot to do with the tracking. He's probably got some downfield skills, some speed. I would imagine that Andy Reid is always looking to add speed whenever they can, and I would venture to say that his chances of making the practice squad are tough. Like, there's going to be a lot of guys to make this practice squad. I imagine maybe 3 receivers get stuck on the practice squad, maybe 4, depending on the whole how it ends up shaking out, whether they get more practice squad spots this year or not. But yeah, it's going to be it's tough to make the roster. It's tough to make the practice squad.
Yeah, I agree. I think him and Coleman are probably right there on the edge of the practice squad, depending on what happens with the triumphant of Gordon, Ross, Fountain, who makes roster, who doesn't. So it's a good thing to have that much competition. It just makes it harder for the guys just below that level. But I did hear his name twice from a couple of the beat reporters, though, that he had a couple of standout days during OTA. So if he can roll that back, keep that going, he might have a shot. Thank you. Great question, Steve. And thank you, Scott. And thank you for the social media love. Appreciate that, Scott. Why do we see Mitchell Schwartz on Twitter any place other than a grill, of course, or a golf course? Mitch is I think you're gonna see his brand expand a lot. He's really good at what he does in terms of showing his personality and still educating people a little bit. So like I think he has a future in broadcasting too.
It wouldn't surprise me. I know he's currently, well, right now he hasn't been on with Robert Mays in a little bit, but it's the off season. He gets to take his time and do whatever he wants to, relax, spend time with his wife. He's just traveling, which good for you, Mitch. You deserve it.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, right. He goes all over the place, but yeah, it's let him do what he wants. Let him do what he wants. He's, when you have that Iron Man streak, I think you deserve as much freedom to do whatever you want. He never missed a game for as long as he did, and then, just take your time. Just do whatever you want.
I don't mind the golfing either because it makes me feel good to know fat guys can play golf because I've played 2 rounds in my entire life and my buddies want me to start doing it. So like I need to have hope is what I need to have. Yeah, so
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried yesterday the golf after my knee surgery. I have got nothing. I got nothing back. I did not hit a ball straight all day. And I was just like, I'm done. I took the little one out and she was like, "What's wrong, Daddy?" I'm like, "Well, I'm frustrated. I can't hit a ball straight." And she's like, "Just keep trying." So,
Oh, good for her. Look at the motivational speaker already. That's awesome. Terry went with ribs and baked beans. You can't go wrong with that. I mean, come on. It's classic. Napoleon, hope you're doing well. If Josh Gordon and Justin Ross both play well in the preseason, but only one makes the 53, will the Chiefs lose the other before they can get him on the practice squad? Ross, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
If he's healthy enough to play in the preseason and shows out, they don't really have a choice, in my opinion, but to stick him in that 6th spot. I don't think they would have a choice because they wouldn't get him to the practice squad.
Unless he miraculously has a last-second injury that requires IR.
There is that. There is that.
But, I mean, and here's the good thing about that, though, is because if he's playing good enough to even be in the conversation for the 53, then you got to figure you can take a chance on that. But yeah, I think he would get snapped up. I don't know if there's going to be much of a market for Josh Gordon. He sat around for what, a year before the Chiefs signed him? I mean, after the suspension was lifted, right? Like he was free and able to sign and no one had any interest. Now he's going to be 32 by the time the season's over.
Coming off a season, he was unable to catch the football.
Yeah, that's a
show up in the preseason. People are going to be like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah, it's kind of my thought as well. But hey, you never know. We'll see what happens. Let's see. John, any interest in JPP? He had a down year last year, but he played in Spags defense a lot in New York. How much did he play for Spags, though? I thought it was only a season or two.
Not a whole lot. I think it was 1 or 2 at the most, I think 3. But no, I think that it's tough with JPP because he's had some good years in Tampa now. So he's going to probably ask for some money. Mm-hmm. Now, what's JPP actually worth? He's what, 34, 35 years old? 5-6 million a year?
Is he that old?
I don't know. I was just throwing.
I'm looking.
It's possible. All I know is that he's getting up there. And granted, in this defense, he's probably perfect for what Spags wants to do. A guy who's definitely more power based that can rush the passer with his long arm because he doesn't have many fingers on his other hand anymore. So, but he's done a good job of overcoming that. Like I'm extremely impressed with how he was able to play without him. So you never know.
I mean, yeah, I was reluctant to even project him remaining in the league, honestly, without being able to grip and rip, to tell you the truth. Let's see. According to Spot Track, he is now 33 years and 192 days.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be 34 this year.
Yeah, he's coming on. But hey, if he can still play, give him a shot. Because quite frankly, if there's any injury to George or Frank, you're in trouble in terms of pass rush. Now, I'm happy with Mike down on first and second down, but pass rush wise, you're in trouble. In fact, you guys, right after this, the audio is going to come out for Locked On Chiefs for tomorrow. And one of my top 5 things for today is they got to fix the pass rush. They got to do something. K Paddock, thank you, sir. I'm assuming Josh Watson. Jalen or Williams?
I think that's Joshua Williams. I think that's what
my
he corrected himself to.
Okay, I already did that. Okay, I missed it. Makes the 53 along with Snead, McDuffie, Fenton. Am I wrong? And who are the front runners for 5 and 6. I think he's right in that mix to make 5 or 6.
Yes.
But along with Snead, McDuffie, and Fenton is Lonnie Johnson, who's going to be in there for the 3rd, 4th type slot. And then I think it might be both of his. Paddock, in your mistyping, I think you hit them both, actually. Because I think it could be DeAndre Baker, Josh Williams, and Jalen Watson are fighting, along with DiCaprio Boodle, 4, 5, and 6, possibly.
This is, I also imagine that Joshua Williams is going to make it. I think he can push for playing time. We'll see how he works out in training camp and everything like that. But to me, he reminds me a lot of what Charvarius Ward was. And he's better, more athletic, in my opinion, and has more upside, which I would be.
Exactly.
Which is the thing. He's got more upside. So and that's part of the reason that I've said maybe you cut Fenton, but he's probably not going to get cut. You probably trade if it comes to the training camp and you're sitting with guys like Joshua Williams, Lonnie Johnson, DiCaprio Boodle that have a lot of upside. And you look at Rashad Fenton, who's played really well for you, and you think, maybe we can get a back end of a defensive end roster guy for Rashad Fenton. That is something that I think the Chiefs will be looking into with the surplus at the defensive back room that they have this season.
Yeah. And it will be completely dependent on how all those guys that we named work out. If there's a swell of the lower dudes that look like they can rise up, then that makes it more possible. Steven, do you think this team is better now than it was at this point last year?
I don't think so. I don't think you can honestly look yourself in the eye and say that this team is better than it was last year right now. I don't think so.
No, I can do this and maybe see it, but wide-eyed, no. Yeah, maybe some blinders will help. Kevin, is Gordon going to make the team? He looked terrible last year. I think he's still in the mix. From what I heard is that OTAs, he was running better and he understood more where he's supposed to be and that kind of thing. But it all comes down to catching the ball. It's like receivers in your position title, for God's sake.
It's going to be that, and he found himself in positions to make plays last year. Again, he didn't do that. That's different. But this year is new. Again, back in football shape, I think, is the most important thing. He clearly had some rust last year. If he's able to come in and show that he can at least be where he needs to be on the field, catch the ball, every once in a while make a play, he's going to have a chance. I personally don't see it myself. I don't think he's going to make it. But again, you never really know until we get to see the pads on. Never know.
Yep. Yeah. But make catches when they count. Until they do, it's all question marks. Red, hope you're doing well. Have they said how many they're going to keep on the practice squad? They have not. The July owners meetings will set that specific, but the expectation from national media and insiders is that they expect it to stay the same as last year. So 16 on the squad, 2 weekly elevations, and I believe 2 protections of like the veteran types. So they could tweak that at the last minute. Who knows? Paddock. Oh, yep. Yeah, okay. You had it.
Yep. That's what I thought.
I'm with you. I'm catching up. Not surprised. Your surprising cuts and trades we make. Well, I think outlining the Fenton one, Dan already kind of nailed the trade, but who's a surprise cut for you?
A surprise cut. We haven't really seen a whole lot of surprise cuts. We've seen more of the trades because that's what Brett Veach does. He takes players who you think have value and that have shown probably played in the league, and he gets something of value in return. I think, so this guy would be regulated back to the practice squad because that's what he'd be. But I think at this point, I've built it up. I think people expect it. Isaiah Pacheco could be a surprise cut. If he doesn't end up showing that he can fulfill the duties of a running back and he hasn't been able to pick up and do well on the field and in special teams, he could be cut.
Yep, that's a possibility. And practice squad isn't a terrible place for him.
No. 7th round pick? No.
Yeah, they have older guys on 1-year contracts. They have a question mark at CEH eventually for longevity. Like that's okay. So let's go free year to get better.
Yeah, right.
Cheers. Take advantage of that. Like that's great. I will tell you one guy that I think they brought in as insurance, and I think they're going to get better play out of other players is Deion Bush. I think he's right on the edge of not making this roster. So we'll see.
I think he's going to be a core special team guy. So yeah,
he
it
should
would surprise me. I mean, it would surprise me. Excuse me.
That's the intention. I think everybody kind of slotted him into that third safety spot until they drafted Cook. Cook's definitely going to be that guy.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
So now it's about Zane and him back and forth, and I think Devin Key goes to the practice squad again. So if Zane actually has a continued offseason like I heard that he's had at OTAs, Dion might be right there in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
We'll see. Usher, yes, we can see that. I'm slow, but my eyes still work. Scott, what delightful beverage should Dan have with his Baja?
Oh, I had a Sam Adams summer ale. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, okay.
I'm a sucker for like simple summer ale beers like that and a summer shandy. When it's hot outside, I love that kind of stuff.
This is going to be counterintuitive because everyone's going to tell you to have a Mexican lager, right? But the cousin to Mexican lager, because
Too heavy
of its yeast profile, is Kolsch. I like Kolsch, especially with fish in the summer. That's something you guys might try.
My things are sours. Like I'm a
yeah.
Sours are my thing.
So when we do get the families together, you'll be drinking with my wife.
Yes,
that's what she drinks. Tell me your wife likes stouts, and then we're all good.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
She's had some real ones over in England, so yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna have great conversations. Then it'll be great. Zach, chances on a Sweat or Young trade? 5%.
Yeah, that's a tiny minuscule amount. I just don't. We're talking future first round draft picks for either of those players, I think.
Yeah,
I know.
And let's remember, it's not about the players. It's not that they couldn't fit or anything. It's about why would a team give up on them? Everybody was screaming about Terry a couple weeks ago. Well, they gave him $71 million over 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like that team is willing to spend on the guys they want to keep. So I don't see them really parting with either of them.
Yeah.
Steve, does Bolton have a Pro Bowl year?
He probably should have
Pro
last
Bowl,
year.
yes. All Pro. Yeah. I mean, Pro Bowl, yes. That is about voting, and I think he will have a high enough profile this year. All Pro, I don't think so, not yet. Now that said,
he's not gonna get there unless he improves in his coverage. That's the difference.
Yeah.
I think that when you become an All Pro, you can do everything, and yet there's nothing saying he won't get to that point with his hook zone drops and being able to sit there and divulge it. As long as you're not liability, you're going to put yourself in a position.
Absolutely. I will say this too, though. This team, because of the lack of like superior talent at edge rusher this year, you may see them get to the point where they have to take wide nines and they have to really overplay the outside, which funnels action into Nick. And if that happens, he could break 125 tackles this year. If the defense is set to funnel to him even more than it did last year, it could be huge. Wild. Hi, since the Super Bowl against the Bucs, I've always seen a lack of catching the ball. Did you notice it? And is it fixed now? I mean, it was like, what's a nice way to put this? It's like that first round in high school when, no, I'm not going to say that out loud. It's like a virus. Everybody caught it last year and nobody caught the ball. Everybody had drops last year.
Yeah.
So is it fixed? I don't know. But yes, we certainly noticed.
It was a different thing. And they didn't even lead the league in drops, guys. They were like fifth. Right. And so while it was abnormal for what we're used to, it wasn't even as bad as it usually is in the NFL, which is kind of saying something. I think that there's a term for this, positive regression coming the Chiefs' way in terms of drops. But we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so.
There you go.
And, you're going to hear PFF, especially throw out terms called regression to the mean. Well, when you have a down year, regression to the mean is a good thing because you're getting back to the league mean.
Yes.
That's a positive change for you. So I think that will help. And Paddock, I'm with you. I got to say this, though.
You go wrong.
As somebody that started drinking Boulevard in the 90s,
I know you probably.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
It's probably because as it's unfiltered, it's probably just a little more than it used to be.
I think they changed the grain bill when they got bought. I really think they do. They've done a really good job of maintaining most of their beers, but that one in particular, maybe it's because I drank it so often in college.
Maybe
like it really stands out to me, but that's all right. They make barley wine more often now, so I'm happy. Jake, thank you for the support, brother. What do you guys think is the best problem the Chiefs have going into this preseason? What I mean is, where will the Chiefs cut that we'll hate to see it?
I think this is an obvious answer. wide receiver. Like they have a lot of talent guys at wide receiver. They drafted, Sky Moore, who's going to be their fourth, we know, and they have a lot of guys pushing for 5 and 6. They're at a surplus and a talent surplus at that 5 and 6 spot. So they're in a good position to have consistency at wide receiver this season and really helping Mahomes get the best out of all these guys.
And between that and the DB situation, if they decide to only keep 3 running backs and Mike Burton, there's going to be 2 running backs that can start for other teams that get cut.
Yeah.
And I am including Pacheco in one of those.
I won't ever say start because I don't think that that's accurate, but I think contribute
is
a better word.
It's a running back spot. Anybody can start. If you're in a committee, you're just the first guy out of the door. That's all.
Yeah. We'll probably disagree. We'll have a different meaning of that. But
that's fine. That's fine. Scott Willis, who might the Chiefs find in free agency for an experienced D end?
Dunlap is
he's the leader right now, right?
It's got to be right. Him, I think. What's his name from the Commanders? Ex-Commander Kerrigan, possibility. We talked a little bit about JPP. Like these are experienced, older guys that can contribute in a primarily pass rush only. That's it. If you're bringing them in, that's what it's for.
And I'm just going to say this just for giggles. In week 7, when the Miami Dolphins acquire a 7th round pick from the Kansas City Chiefs, it is for Melvin Ingram again. I'm just going to say that.
Wouldn't shock me.
Could Williams have a Snead-like rookie season? That's tough.
He's got to get on the field first. And right now, I don't think he's a starter. I think that they have that pretty much cemented. And we're talking about he's the 5th corner right now. I think if you assume, like I think we all do, that Rashad Fenton is the 4th guy, maybe 4th or 3rd with Lonnie Johnson, I think that you have your starters and you even have a backup, and he's got to get on the field.
Which, don't take that as a total negative either, Zach, because that tells you that unlike when Snead was drafted, they have a foursome that can play. Whereas that was not the case when Snead got drafted. It was like, hey, Rook, go do stuff.
You got to beat all. You got to do everything.
Right? But I will tell you this, like, it's good to see another option for that. And Snead is the poster child for the 4th round success. So it's certainly within the realm of possibility when he does get reps. Royce, thanks guys for taking the time on a holiday to come live for us. Yeah, thanks for you guys for being here.
Like that's
if no one's here to watch, then I just get on the phone. So I mean,
which is still fun, but this is more fun.
Who's the toughest game this season? Oof. It's the Buffalo Bills. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's them or it's the Rams. Like it's them or the Rams. Like that's honestly, they are the 2 toughest games they play, and honestly, the best team that shows up on that day will be their toughest game. It's going to be out of one of those 2.
Agreed.
So,
oh man, I
know.
And Bengals fans, you can yell at me later. Yeah, I always forget that. It's not the Arizona Cardinals. I'll tell you that. Being a couple of guys that watch a lot of film, how much stock do you put into PFF grades? Does Madden come closer on a true rating? Interesting question. I don't read grades from PFF ever. And I've had conversations with every major analyst there. There's just not enough. And Vass will go off on this if you get Coach Vass going. He just had an interesting conversation with Brent Venables on one of his latest shows, and he's like, I don't even put anything into, because unless you're in the call sheet, you don't know. And that is just the truth. But it's an approximation. And so for me, and I'm sorry, I know you're distracted.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
It's a generality. There are certain things that you have to accomplish. And so, especially for, say, offensive line or defensive line, what they're accomplishing and what you want them to do. It's one thing to be a run stuffer. You can have a great overall grade and be a run stuffer that affects the pass in 0 ways on 38 passing downs from that ball game. That isn't enough. You see what I mean? Like, it has to be about what you're trying to accomplish. So I think it's much more than that.
Yeah, I want to take a little time on this because I think it's important that everyone kind of understand where I come from. For me, it's a starting point. Okay. You have a whole basis for their grades. If you understand the concept behind it, you know that for the most part, most of them don't understand the responsibilities of these players. They don't understand what they're supposed to be doing. They just kind of get a general idea and kind of throw it on a piece of paper and say, boom, this is how effective, impactful he was. If you look at it and then you can dissect the film, like for example, a two gapper. Just simplify it. Just one gap. Does he take on that double team? Okay. Does he get moved? Does he not get moved? How consistently is he holding that gap? If he's doing a really good job holding that gap and his PFF grade is like low because he didn't have a ton of tackles or he didn't have a sack or he didn't contribute, that's how you know that the PFF grade is off based on what he's supposed to be doing. Because as long as he doesn't get moved, he takes on that double team and allows that linebacker to fill and get the tackle, boom, it's perfect. Exactly what he's supposed to do.
He's doing his job.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I will tell you this too. I've found through the years that as I've tried to give it more credence than I do currently, it's very dependent on who's doing the initial eval.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people that are experienced enough that take that into consideration.
Correct.
That's what he was asked to do on a given down. There are people that don't. As far as Madden goes, I find Madden's kind of all over the place myself. If EA wants to talk to me about what the Matrix can do for them, I'm happy to. But yeah, I just don't see it. I'd say PF is more of a realistic measurement of what happened, whereas Madden is more of a hyped look at what could be, in my opinion.
Yeah. Madden's just Madden. It's a game, man.
It's a game. It's fun. It's funny. Like as I've gotten older, I don't play the games anymore. I just build the rosters. Everything's on auto. Are you tracking any D from any other team that could be a trade target or free agent pickup after they might get cut? Thanks as always. Thank you, Whiskey Bravo, and thank you for the support. Appreciate you. There's always guys on my radar. Like, who's the interior guy that used to play in Buffalo? He got signed by the Colts. I want to say Harrison something. Yes, Harrison Phillips. I think he's a guy that could get in the rotation in Kansas City at the defensive tackle and help. I don't know if he's going to make it in Indianapolis. I agree. See?
She's okay.
I don't know. Anybody in particular you're looking for?
Honestly, I'm not in a position to know who's going to be on a bubble on any position on most of these teams. Maybe one day I will. Yes, they did it. See, some team did it out there, and they're going to give us a defensive end. So someone is out there. She knows.
She knows. I like it. She is our magic 8-ball. I will also keep an eye on everything in Washington. And I don't know if it'll happen, but I hope that something happens and somebody else gets cut from the Cardinals. They took a chance on a couple of pass rushers I really like, and I don't know if their defensive staff is really ready to develop them. And that's not a slight against that staff. I'm just saying, like, the guys they took don't fit what they've done in the past as well as I think they should. So I'd love to get my hands on either D'Angelo Malone or Cam Thomas, but yeah, it's long shots. Doug, can you tell me if there are any prominent free agents from last year that are still available that might be re-signed? And thank you, Doug. I hope you had a good fourth as well. Might be re-signed that are still available. Wow.
Prominent. I don't know.
That is a tough order. I'm just going to run down a free agent list real quick from Over the Cap and just double check that because nothing comes to my mind, Doug. In the meantime, Lee, I think you nailed it. But Dan, like, what is the possibility there?
This is we've already seen through OTAs, Justin Ross has been sidelined with an injury. We don't have any information on what that injury was, when it happened, or what it could possibly be, what area it even is. For me, that's a very distinct Andy Reid saying, I think he's going to come down with something in training camp too. It's going to keep him out. If he doesn't show up, or if he does show up and he's not participating in training camp and it continues to go on for the first week, for the second week, he will be on the IR this year. And that almost is one of the biggest reasons I think they may have brought him into Kansas City, because Andy Reid, much like Bill Belichick from time to time, likes to manipulate some rules of the game. Let's just say that, because technically it's not allowed, but he came into the NFL with injuries. They've just been lingering. He hasn't fully recovered yet.
Okay, well, that's cool.
I'm
going back to Doug's. And Doug, I'll tell you a couple of guys that are still out there right now that I could take a look at. JPP, maybe. The guys that stand out to me are Will Fuller. Now, I know that wide receiver is already a strength, so that's a long shot. But
Yeah.
if you find that somebody isn't quite giving you what you want, or if you find that you want to kind of change what you want to do with MVS in particular, I think Will Fuller's a guy that you can just send deep. He can be a cheap signing that is your stretcher.
Yeah.
That could work. Looking at guys that are under 30 is my focus. I try not to go over that. By the way, for everybody who's still upset about Anthony Hitchens, he is still a free agent. There's a reason for that.
Oh, weird.
I know, shocking. One guy that comes to my mind is Anthony Barr, because I think he could stand up for you. I think he can come off the edge. He's got maybe 1 or 2 seasons left in him. That's about it. Who else? Larry Ogunjobi's still out there, according to Spot Track. So
interesting.
I thought he signed. We heard a rumor of it, but then it never really appeared. So I don't know. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing that, because if the Chiefs can't have edge, if you can boost the interior that can flush quarterbacks to the edges, then you still are helping the pass rush.
He did sign with the Steelers. I think it was last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Dang. Okay. Well, then they are off and have not updated their list. So this might be all blown in the wind. So, Steve, thank you. Doug, thank you. Thanks for the support, Steve. And your next one was, I thought Creed was the best center last year. Why did he not make the Pro Bowl? Because Pro Bowl is about popularity and exposure to the voting masses of fans.
Yeah.
No center ever gets that. It's like a 3-year delay for an interior lineman, right?
There's a good chance he never gets in a Pro Bowl too. Mitch Schwartz never got in a Pro Bowl, like ever.
I know, right?
Doesn't make any sense.
See, and I'm just far behind all the way, because Didi said that Harrison signed a deal with the Vikes. So nice. There went that plan. Okay. So that's limiting our possibilities here, folks. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Lego, you're going to crush me with that one. You're not going to like my answer, but we'll get to it in a minute. Covered the pass rush. That's not the one I was talking about. Tevin, thank you for your support. I'm stoked for the defense with the youth, speed, and pop of this unit. Are they not night and day better? Hitch was slow for me. Can Carliff just gives the spark that Ingram brought? Night and day better? Minus Tyron, as much as I like Justin Reed.
So
yes, they're more athletic at linebacker, but no.
So this is an upside play, okay? Their floor is we're talking bottom of the league floor for this defense. The upside, however, is exciting, because you have speed, you've got some pop, you've got some younger guys that are willing to prove themselves. So right now we're in this new season. The defense is going to look so different. It's going to have so many different moving parts. And when you have guys that played in the system for years, they're typically, I'm going to use this very, very loosely, in the right spots.
Mm-hmm.
Not, maybe their bodies can't always get them where they're supposed to be. Anthony Hitchens, Ben Neiman, Dan Sorensen. But those guys are gone. Okay? Those guys are gone. And there is going to be a much more potent effort to make hits, to tackle, to be a spark plug. That's probably going to be at the end of like 10-yard plays, though. So you got to give and take. Got to be able to give and take. So night and day better? No. Night and day upside better? Yes.
And for the second part, can Karlaftis bring the spark that Ingram did? Not in the same way, but yes, he can, because he has, and this is what the Chiefs want to tell you too, he has a great motor. He's going to give you effort every down, all down long. Does he have that explosive ability to make the difference in the pass rush that Ingram does? I'm going to say no right now. He can develop into somebody like that, but right now, probably not. But he's going to bring the energy every down, and that I am confident in.
We'll see about the speed, because he's lost a little bit of weight, and we'll see how much he's lost since the draft too. Because I would imagine he's probably trying to get a little bit quicker. So we'll see.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, that would change his game dramatically for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, his best film in terms of explosiveness was his freshman year. So it makes sense. Drop some of those pounds, and you should be better.
Yep.
Wow, Matthias, thank you. Chiefs D was always best when they were physical and faster. I see this year. I see this year. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is as the years go on, we're talking about teams that attack through the air that much more. there was a lot of inexperience in this secondary.
Yeah.
So that it might be the only thing that kind of throws it off just a touch.
Maybe. We'll see.
Red, winner of the Chiefs-Bills game, hosts the AFC Championship game.
With the way the AFC shapes up, I can't even commit to saying yes to that. I can't.
That's a tough one. Because honestly, if the Chiefs knock off the Bills, they could send them on a spiral and the Bengals could put them out.
Or even if they do win, the Bills could just recover and still, or maybe one of those two teams don't host it and then somebody else, because that's just how good the AFC is. Like
that's true.
Easy. It's not easy.
It is a collection of assassins, that's for sure. Do you think the Chiefs will be extremely aggressive on the D-line next draft next year? Super Devil Juice, that's a good question. It depends what you're talking about. Like a move up like they did for McDuffie, which was what, 8 slots? That's aggressive, but that's not super aggressive in my mind.
And they only did it because he fell. Like,
yeah, that's fair. It's set up for them now.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, hey, this dude we thought was going to be gone at 12. Like, I thought it was going to be gone at 12. He's here at 21. We should go get him." Like, their plans
makes
didn't
sense.
change.
Yeah, I'd label that more opportunistic than aggressive.
Yeah, I would agree.
Or opportunistically aggressive. How's that? I'll just split right down the middle. Micah, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Do you think that in 10 years or more, we will see a $10 billion contract as the cap explodes? 10-year, $1 billion.
I don't even have the brain capacity to think about that.
I don't think so. Not in 10 years. Because the cap is definitely going to go up. But for it to go up that amount, and you talk about quarterbacks are generally somewhere around 15 to 20% of their overall roster, the cap you're talking about would have to go up, what, 200 grand? It'd have to double from where it is now. I just don't know if I see that kind of money.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
It's something, and plus, I mean, a 10-year, $1 billion contract would have to be for that generational type player. Do we know if that's going to? Because Mahomes' contract is so unique. No team is really going to tie themselves to someone unless it's like that. Like, that's just not going to happen. So I don't know. It's a lot of money. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine even.
They keep bringing in, yeah.
Let alone who would be the GM that would pull the trigger on that. That would be my that's the limiting factor. Thoughts on Matt Ryan and the Colts?
Is this the question you were talking about?
No, not yet. He's got a lot of good ones tonight.
Honestly, I love Matt Ryan to the Colts. Like, I think it's a perfect fit for him now as the quarterback that he is. More accurate than Carson Wentz. He's not going to throw some crazy interception or fumble that doesn't make any sense. He's going to take care of the football. He's going to get rid of it on time. And behind Jonathan Taylor in the run game is perfect for him. So I think it's a match made for the Colts. Do I think it gives them Super Bowl aspirations? No, because I don't think Matt Ryan's that guy anymore.
Yeah. I like a pissed off Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
I think he would play better. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs. I don't think they're good enough to win in the playoffs. So that's all right. But Lego, that's not the one I was talking about that I'm going to make you angry with my answer. Longmorn, thank you for the support, my friend. I hope you have a dram with you right now. Cheers and happy birthday, America. Welcome to your independence. Zach, would it have been happier if we had taken Cam Thomas over Brian Cook? Oof. No, not with Karlaftis already on board. I like Cook a lot.
I didn't have him as a second, so I probably would have been happier at the time. But that's how it works. It's a draft, and you never know what you're going to get, and you got to kind of go with what you have now. And I can't wait to just look back and talk about players that would have drafted or I would have drafted anymore. It's July now. Like, this is. Like, I'm not trying to dog on you, Zach, for the question, but like, my mindset is now with the team that they have and not who they could have drafted it and who they should have, in my opinion, because it's no longer matter. It's irrelevant.
And the really interesting point from that is like Brett Veach will kind of do that too. Like, they'll keep an eye on him, but like from this point, from draft day forward, like it's a branch, right?
Yep.
It's like the Avengers timeline thing.
Yep,
you
exactly.
Poke him out, he goes this way. Yeah. Okay. By the way, we just watched that over the weekend. So like that coaching will affect that player. If it doesn't work out for him, you can try to bring him back like Brett Veach does a lot and say, okay, well, he didn't get what he needed or what we knew he needed at the time. Then you can try. But if Cam Thomas comes available. There's maybe nothing better for Cam Thomas than being with JJ Watt, though. So I do like that pairing. Should the Chiefs be interested in Chris Odom of the Houston Gamblers?
He's talking about the USFL.
Oh, see, okay. Last cheese ball. I'm going to piss you off just like with Lego, and I'm going to put Legos up here so I can do it all at the same time. I didn't watch any USFL.
I didn't watch it either, but I will tell you, these guys are going to be on NFL rosters after the season's over. Some of these guys, he's going to 100% find himself on an NFL roster. I also believe that some of the wide receivers are. I don't think the running backs will, because it's running backs. They don't really matter. So, yeah, there's wide receivers, going to be some defensive ends, maybe some corners. But, yeah, I do think Chris Odom's going to find himself on a roster. Just doesn't matter how great the competition is. We know it's not good. But if you can put up the numbers in any scenario with pads on, you're going to find yourself with a team saying, hey, we might be able to get something out of this guy.
Yeah. And it's legitimate because now you've gone that step ahead. I don't know how old he is or why he's not been on an NFL roster. But especially if he's young, if he went undrafted or whatever 2 years ago and he's worked his way, he's improved his game to the point that he can have that kind of performance in a developmental league like the USFL. Mm-hmm. That tells you he's willing to the work. He's willing to change his game, and he's gotten to that point. So that will make NFL GMs want to buy in more and see what they can turn him into. Yep. So that makes perfect sense to me. Come to Kansas City. I'm happy with that. Yep. Lord knows there's enough dev guys here that need the pushing. Lee, any chance at a Robert Quinn as an option later? Sure. If they were to release him, sure.
Yeah. Or even later in the season, if it's a trade deadline kind of thing, maybe that might be possible then, because he's still a Bear, right? He's still a Bear.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know. My list is all out, so what do I know?
They're going to be bad.
PFF ranked Kirk Cousins ahead of Mahomes last year. There's your answer. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that does kind of enlighten you in some ways, but it's also about placement, efficiency, right? PFF and every advanced metric that you see from PFF or from any of the statisticians, the analytics guys, it's about efficiency. That's where things start to break down, because they're just trying to be efficient. They're not talking about dominance or physicality. They're talking about efficiency. And so maybe in that possibility, because of the interceptions and the rush plays and that kind of stuff, maybe Cousins was a little bit more efficient.
I think Kirk gets criminally underrated for the most part, because he's never going to win a Super Bowl ever, maybe never even win a playoff game. But I think he's a very decent quarterback. We talked the same about Derek Carr, that these guys are more efficient than they are top heavy good. Mahomes can dominate teams, can dominate games. But if we're going to be honest, look in the mirror, there was quite a long stretch of games this last year where Mahomes wasn't good. We're not even close to what he normally was. But he figured it out. He worked through it. And when you look at numbers, straight numbers, you have, okay, he wasn't good here. He was good here. Eventually, it kind of makes you mediocre in the long run in that scenario. So, it is what it is. We know that Patrick Mahomes, what he can be, and at times what he strives to be, hopes to be. But sometimes you just find yourself having a bad day. And sometimes it stretches a couple games. It happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, that makes some sense too. I mean, hey, Lee, have you guys got a spot for next year's draft? Johnny's in Lee Summit? ? I will tell you this. I had a great conversation with Johnny's pre-draft, and then we had to kind of put everything away for the summer. If you guys are in there, tell their general managers that you want us there, because it is a deal that we're kind of pursuing to see if we can make something happen. There's a Johnny's in Lawrence, and I spent a lot of time there, so there's a little connection there. But but yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I'm trying to get done. Pit Pat. If the defense is top 15, do we win another ring?
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, that defense is a top 15 group. Yes, they're going to win another Super Bowl.
It's got to be specific, though. If they're top 15, it's scores allowed and points allowed.
Yeah. That's all that matters. I don't care if it's top 15 anywhere else. If they are, at the end of the day, like you said, top 15 and points allowed, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's all that matters.
Patrick will put up and lead this offense to enough points to win if they are in that role. Honestly, even if the defense is doing that good, and like you said, if that's the only metric that matters, even if they're giving up yards and they're giving up longer drives, and Patrick still has 6-7 drives a game, we're talking, as long as they hold everybody on 24 points, the Chiefs win.
Yep.
I mean, week after week after week. That should be it. With Kennard, McDuffie, Karlaftis being all but guaranteed starters and a bunch of high potential draft pieces, is it safe to say our draft was a success? It's safe to say it looks like it, but no, not until you get on the field and you do it. I will argue with you a little bit that I don't know that Kennard is definitely all but guaranteed. Andy in particular, and Andy Heck just as much, want to go with the veteran if it's a tie. So if Kennard and Wiley are even close, they're going to go with Wiley.
Like last year, it probably pained Andy to have to play 2 rookies, but he didn't have a choice.
Right.
He didn't have a choice. Like, that's what it was. So we can never, before anyone plays a snap, before anyone even puts on pads, we can never even say it was a success. You got to, at the end of the season, we'll be able to tell you if it was a success.
Yeah. Maybe even partway.
Maybe.
Adam, thank you. Hope you're doing well up there. Thanks for the support. What about trading a 3rd and a 4th for Dwayne Smoot from Jacksonville? Would you see value in that? 2 years left, still pretty young with upside. I found him really inconsistent in college. Like a 4th, a 5th, I could go for that if you feel like he's put it together. I honestly have not reviewed their film from last season, other than maybe 2 games that I saw, and it wasn't like a review.
Especially not their defense.
But yeah, right. 2 years on a rookie contract. Yeah, if the Chiefs pro scouting staff feels it's worth it, then I'm fine with that. And that's the difference, that we don't even here on the channel, we don't talk about that very much. There's a college scouting staff and there's a pro scouting staff, and they watch NFL film to find players or understand or identify targets. So there's a lot to it. Like, I could not be a college scout. If you want me to watch NFL film, I could probably get that done, but I cannot be a college scout. Those guys never sleep and they never see their families. So if you run into a college scout somewhere for any team, buy them a hamburger, will you?
Yeah, for sure.
Longmorn, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Enjoying a nice pour of Angel's Envy rye for the 4th. I like it. The Tabac Especial cigar. I'm not into cigars, so I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. Waiting to shoot off the fireworks to the grandkids. Rock on, man. Chatting about the Chiefs and just icing on the cake. Well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're having a good holiday. Let's take for Will Anderson. Oh, good Lord. Yeah.
I'm not going to say what it would take for that to happen, so no. So no.
You'll never hear the word tank with Patrick Mahomes on the roster ever. There's no, that'd be a waste of a season. But I will say this. Will Anderson is the real deal. I expect him to be even better than he was last season. I got my hands on 2 drives of the spring game, and I'm just like, oh, this is going to hurt some people. And I can't remember who asked me for Andre Carter review, but I got a couple of games and I took a look. Doesn't look like a first rounder to me, but I do think he's probably a top 100 level guy. If he actually gets to the point where he's functionally stronger and able to dominate at contact, because he gets to contact well, I think he could be a guy that the Chiefs look at in late in the first round, with the 32nd pick. I think that'd be great.
Little foreshadowing there, guys.
Right. I'm just trying to set it up. Speak it into existence. Chiefed up and chiefed out. I like it. Thank you for the support. Appreciate all the content. You guys are some of the best in the business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all that you do. T5 all-time Chiefs. Ooh. Is Tyron an all-time Chief?
I think he's just saying top 5.
Oh. I thought they referred to Tyron as T5 at times. Sorry, never mind. Top 5 all-time Chiefs. And should an O-lineman make that list?
I think you can make the case that 2 of them make that list.
Willie and Will?
Uh-huh.
Dang. Lenny, Derek, Patrick. I mean, Joe Montana was a Chief, for God's sake. Can we leave him off of that?
Yes,
I don't know.
Because it wasn't his career in Kansas City. When you talk about all time, these are guys that changed the franchise, or were played their best football in Kansas City.
I don't think an offensive lineman makes the top 5. Bobby Bell changed his position forever. Obviously, Derek was Derek. Lenny. I don't know. It might be tight. So let me switch it for you. So let me switch it for you. Willie or Will? Who goes first? It Shields for me all the way. Sorry, Willie Rope.
Yeah.
I know you've seen the show, and I had a great time talking with you.
Yeah,
You played New Orleans a long time, brother. So
I think it's probably Shields, and I'm a big Willie Rope dude. Like I love Willie, but it's probably him.
If you guys have not heard the time Willie came on the show on Locked On Chiefs, I talked to him. I got a 30-minute episode out of what was probably close to 90 minutes. It was like we covered everything. It was great. Thank you, Chiefed Up. Appreciate you. Thank you, Teddy. Gun to your head. Odds on Kennard starting day one. Also, would you be shocked, surprised if McColl's traded along with a strong camp from Sky and Ross? Gun to your head. Kennard starting day one. No.
He said odds.
Oh, odds? 20%. 1 out of 5.
I'm leaning 30% myself.
30%
30% chance he starts day one. I do think they're going to give Niang every chance if he's healthy to start. We know that Wiley has played the position last year. He played it well. So I think that they're going to be comfortable there. And I would 100% be shocked if McColl was traded, because I am very in on the idea that he's going to be their Z receiver this year. I don't know. I get this feeling. I went back last year, and I went back and I watched the preseason game against the Cardinals last year where Tyreek Hill was out, and they used McColl in all of that the same way. It was not great, but learning experience. I think he got more confident at the end of the season last year. I think that that's going to play a huge role, and I think that he's the only guy right now on their roster that can actually play that position to some degree that they need him to. I think it's the only guy that they have.
Yeah, I don't. Even if Sky and Justin Ross went off, I don't think you can trade away the only guy who's played in this offense in a regular season game before.
Yeah.
And especially McColl should be motivated. So no matter what you get in training camp, you should get more out of him later, because this is his future. As Terez used to always say, contract year is undefeated. And I think that will prove out in this case as well. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Teddy. Do you think Josh Gordon is a guaranteed end of preseason cut, considering it was his first year in KC? What he looked like, it would be strange if other teams want and opt into that. That and his age. But no, guaranteed? No.
Yeah. I'll never guarantee a cut, because you never know what's going to happen. Like we talked a little bit about already. When the pads come on, and if you show up, you play, you're probably going to make it. And since he's a veteran, if he shows up and he plays, he'll give himself a roster spot.
Yeah. And I think this staff will always want to keep the roster with some experience. They'll always lean that way if they have a tie. So, well, and that's okay. That is going to work for them. What is also okay is that we've reached the end of our questions. Well done, you guys. Great crew. I thought we might go short. We made about 8 minutes. Hey, that's pretty good for us. We're usually half an hour over. So, I know it's a holiday weekend. Thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate it. And Dan, thanks for taking yourself away from the little one that I know needs you desperately.
Yeah, we're all here. We're doing good. You guys, thank you for joining us this Monday. Happy. If I could talk, that'd be nice. Have a happy 4th, you guys. Have a great night.
I will be out later in the week. Seth is going to have the HUD, the Chief in the North, and Dan, if you're available, you are all with him. That should be fun. And I will be back next week, because I, knock on wood, should have a new studio for you guys next week. Somebody cross your fingers. Anyway,
I'm doing it.
Yeah, thank you. I needed it. Thank you. You guys have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow for more content, and then next week, of course. If anything happens with Orlando Brown, I will drop what I'm doing. It might be on a phone, but you'll see me. And
me too.
We'll try to string it together so we can do it. So hope you guys have a good week, and let's hope that Orlando just waits till I have a home. Please. Thanks, Orlando. Okay. Have a good one, folks. We'll talk to you later.